not sure where you want to go to, well, welcome to another episode of Your Next Move. I'm your host, Evantz Saint-Gerard, and I have a special guest today. I'm going to let him introduce himself to the audience.
So I'm Steven Hamoen, realtor, mortgage broker, business owner, podcaster out of Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
And he's here, basically a special guest here in our office. This is the first one I'm doing this year in the office, so thank you for being my first guest.
Super excited.
All right, so we got to get the French out of the way right now.
Je parle en français très petit peu.
Moi aussi. I don't think that was French. I think that was Haitian Creole
it was
and
good.
French.
It was good.
Anyway, so Toronto. You've been in Toronto native for how long?
So I've been moving around Southern Ontario,
Mm-hmm.
for all my life. Lived in Toronto, lived in Windsor, Burlington. I now reside in a small place called Kitchener-Waterloo,
Okay.
which is where BlackBerry, if you guys remember BlackBerry, was founded.
I think I remember
Kind
something.
of some people remember a few things about that company.
I'm a little older than you, so I do
that's
remember
right.
what Blackberries.
Yes, exactly.
All right, so what is Toronto known for besides the hockey and cold?
Well, Caribana. I mean, Caribana it's.
I was hoping you would bring that up.
Woo, that city lights with fire when that comes into town.
All right, for you Caribbeans out there, you want to go to a party. We have Mardi Gras based in different countries, and we have fetes. You got to go to Caribana. Ladies, don't let your boyfriends go to Caribana because they're not coming back. Just telling you that for real. He's laughing because he knows what I'm talking about. I've never been to Caribana. My brother has gone, and he does not travel, but basically it took him a while to come back.
It is a fantastic party. It's amazing.
It's a fete. Let's just leave it at that. So we have.
So that might be a reason to move.
Yes.
Yeah, because if those situations happen, it's time to move.
Yeah, depending on where you are in your station in life. Your wife might not like that, but hey.
But that's also maybe a reason to move.
Well, yes. So we have Caribana. Anything else, basically, why people should consider Toronto someplace to go?
I think we've got a really good seasonality in Toronto, similar to New York City.
Mm-hmm.
We've got beautiful fall where the leaves come out. You got gorgeous colors. We've got a really good. You do get snow in the winter, which is great. I love the season, so I think it's awesome. I think culturally, Canada's a really great spot. Very diverse culture. You can have anything under the sun for food. I love having.
I was hoping you would bring up the food.
Oh man,
Let's talk about the food. What's your favorite dish? Canadian dish, and don't say bacon.
It's funny because my first thing went to like sushi, and I'm like, because to me it's so multicultural in Canada that I would go up for Indian before I go up for Canadian bacon.
All right.
And because we just got I love a good green curry.
Okay.
Oh man.
What about poutine?
Poutine is a very Canadian thing, and poutine, if it's done right, it's poutine. I think is the proper way of saying it.
Okay.
The French are gonna kill me for saying it that way.
Yeah, my cousins are gonna kill me.
Yeah. Poutine is amazing. Like I love it.
All right, just for the audience who probably don't know what poutine is, you want to tell them?
So it's where you take fries, and on those fries you dump a bunch of gravy, but underneath you put cheese curds, and you pour it on the gravy so nice and hot, so those cheese curds melt enough so they turn into that nice, stringy, juicy goodness that's poutine.
If you guys know anything about me, I love French fries and I love cheese. Throw in gravy, you're speaking my language.
That is just a recipe.
All right, so besides poutine, what else? What else are we talking about food-wise?
I think we have really good multiculturalism. I got to keep on leaning on that because that's really what makes Canada Canada, is that you have so much diversity, and I love diversity. I think it's probably one of the strongest thing a culture can have. Because if I only could have lobster every single day, that'd be horrible. But if I had lobster every once in a while, because I'm having sushi the next day, I'm having dim sum the next day, ice cream the next day.
Speaking of ice cream, what's your favorite ice cream?
Vanilla.
I'm not gonna lie.
I like boring as well. Yeah, I like boring.
There's nothing wrong with that. Basically, you sample as much as you can, and basically you go to this. I feel more comfortable eating this one.
Yeah,
it is what it is. All right, we are realtors, so we're gonna talk about real estate. What in Toronto? What can people expect basically real estate wise? Well, are you guys condos, co-ops?
Well, first of all, we had a very hard year over the past couple of years. Canada has never seen a drop like this in the past 40 years in our real estate market. And what it's done for buyers and for sellers is created a lot of pensive behaviors where people, they get fears that maybe, is this the right time to buy? Is this
Same
not
thing
the
here.
right
Same
time to
thing
buy? We've never gone through that before. It was always, the only time to buy real estate is today because it's always going up. And for 40 years, that was correct until the last 2.
What would you say basically changed in the last couple of years that made it where it is now?
We had a lot of economic pushes without getting political around it that caused our government to really create a situation of hyperinflation. And that hyperinflation, the government felt that the only way to do it was to put the heavy button on the interest rates.
Gotcha.
And when you have housing that, first of all, sees this massive decline in interest rates, that basically it's free money. Because if the interest rate is below the inflation rate, that's free money. So you basically have a license to print free money. You've got the printing press in your basement.
Pretty much,
When the interest rate is double or triple the inflation rate, now it's just sucking money out of you, and that's certainly what happened over the past.
So I pretty much put a pause for a lot of people, but I see a lot of people are commuting back and forth from Canada to New York to Canada, and vice versa, different places in New York. Well,
the amount of people right now in Canada that are looking to the United States for investments is dramatic. We're seeing a lot of cross-border push. That's why I'm a mortgage business. We focus on a lot of investors who are buying it in the United States. Landlord rules a little bit more favorable. Cap rates are a little bit better. So from an investor standpoint, it's a wonderful time to buy because you only make money when you buy real estate. And when you sell it, it's recognizing a good decision you made at that time.
Obviously, you're going to pick the right professional. You're going to hire the right, not pick, you're going to hire the right professional who's going to advise you basically, look, based on what you're saying you want to do, here are the choices. We can do point A, B, C, or D, and you're going to have to decide which one you want to go with, and then you take it from there.
Well, I think you bring up a very good point around picking a professional. I think this industry, the number one competitor in this industry is not a real estate agent versus a real estate agent. It's a real estate agent versus ignorance and neglect. And to me, a real estate agent needs to be full-time. A real estate agent can't be just, this is my side hustle.
It can't be
You can't dabble in it because you're really working with people's biggest investments.
Yes.
So instead of just picking that cousin because they're close to you, do the deep dive and say, how many transactions did you do last year? Show me why you're the person that I need to pick, because this is a big decision for my family. We can go have lunch next week, but I'm making a decision, the biggest decision.
I love what you just said. Pretty much, you do have to look at the experience, the communication that you're having with the professional, and do you feel comfortable working with that person? That's the other ultimate thing. Also, if you feel the experience and everything else is important, and you feel comfortable as they're talking to you, they're explaining things to you, and you don't feel like they're talking down to you, but you're like, wow, this person actually cares enough based to explain this to me. I thought I understood it, but I was too nervous to say anything in front of them, but they felt that and they decided, all right, you know what, I feel basically I might have lost you somewhere. Here, let me explain it a different way, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, okay, now I got it. And I think another thing is important is basically whoever your decision makers should all be involved. So if it's a husband or wife or whatever the combination is, you all sit down with that professional, have that conversation, and decide together as a family what you want to do. And that time is the enemy. If you wait too long, you're going to miss out on opportunities also.
I think there's 3 pillars that a real estate agent needs in order to be successful.
Well, sure.
The first one is, number one, they have to have somebody to mentor them. They have to have somebody backing them up because you're not going to know everything.
No, nobody knows everything.
So you have to have that. So I think that's first. The second thing is they have to have skill. And they have to have skill in the skill of real estate. Because if they don't have the skill in the skill of real estate, why are they there helping you being paid the big bucks to be the real estate agent? The last thing, and probably the most important thing, which is what you really focused on, which is the emotional IQ. You've got to be able to understand how people make decisions, why they make decisions, how they handle tough situations, what they're going to do. Is that their natural response or is that their unnatural response? And if you can do that, you become a really effective agent.
I've been doing this for about 13 years, and I keep forgetting sometimes that basically there's a lot of psychology involved in this. And I remember psychology in college, and I'm like, oh wait, I actually remember this. Okay, great, tying everything together. Like, okay, I don't think this is coming across basically to this client. Let me break it down a different way. Okay, great. Now that I broke it down a different way, as I'm listening, as they're talking, because we ask a lot of questions. And you guys might feel that, wow, you guys are really nosy. But the only way we can help you properly is basically by asking thorough questions on top of thorough questions on top of thorough questions. and that way we can help you the best way possible.
Well, the only way he knows is through being nosy.
Yes, and if you
And
guys
so-
haven't noticed, gotta work with what you got. So
You gotta work with it.
all right, so let's talk about activities outside of in Toronto. Basically, family moving over, basically considering buying a forever home in Toronto. What can they expect basically for real estate, and also what can they do outside of it? Okay, let's go out to the
You know,
restaurants.
geography is one of those things that people really focus in on, in proximity to family, proximity to the work, and then their tolerance for the commute. And I'm sure you probably feel that living
No.
in this
Not at all.
is that you're trading dollars for minutes on the highway.
Yes.
Or dollars for minutes on the subway. And those minutes add up over a period of years.
Yep.
And so if you could time value your time sitting in traffic, you can start to realize, should I be closer to where I need to get to? And that might not be your work.
Mhm.
That might be your aunt who needs help.
Yep.
That might be to the school that your kids need to go to, or to that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gym that you love training at.
He was
And-
bringing this up, by the way.
Yeah, it's a thing. And so you've got to find out what those big drivers are.
Mhm.
And for us, we do have city pockets,
Okay.
and then we have suburban pockets. And where you're sort of just in the burbs, but you're, and they still have, your 6 or 8 pack style condos or
Mhm.
HOAs, you might call them. Or we have the single families as well with the big
Okay.
yards.
All right, so you just have to have that conversation with your realtor, deciding on where you want to be, what you want to do, and what style of home, what your lifestyle is, obviously, and see what's important to you and your family. And I like what you said about budgeting your time, what your commute time is going to be, basically for whatever your lifestyle is,
Yeah.
and you figure out what you want to do. And when you convey that to your realtor, they can map out, all right, here's, based on what you're saying, here's some options, and obviously you got to see what works
Yeah.
best for you, what works for you.
Yeah, like if you're a business owner and you're listening to this, one of the things that you can really pick out from Gary Keller is around the idea of leverage.
Yep.
And money creates leverage. And so if you could leverage the time by being closer to the things you need to be, by putting that into the house, you're not putting that into the kilometers on the car, that's instant leverage. Because miles.
Sorry, I was waiting for you to say
Next
something.
thing I'm gonna say boots, new dude to boot it.
Oh, you know what? I was waiting for a segue.
Is that we a sofa or a couch area? I don't know. We're gonna drink the soda or the pop. Yeah.
My Canadian family members are gonna be like, "Wow, we're gonna scour you basically as soon as we see you next
Yeah.
time." I have a lot of Canadian relatives in Montreal. So,
Oh, I love Montreal. It's one of
so
the best
my
spots in
French
Canada.
sucks tremendously.
I personally believe that Quebec culture
Mhm.
is one of the most important cultures in Canada,
Why so?
because what it really does is it defends Canada. By defending the French, it's defending Canada.
Okay.
And for them, it's really important for them to defend the French language. And I love having the French language as their second language.
Okay.
I think it's so important because then when I go to Quebec, I get the experience of Quebec.
J'ai compris.
Yeah.
That's about it. I don't know
And if
anything
you're
else.
going to go to Quebec, there's 3 spots to go to, in my opinion. Number one, Montreal. It's a huge mecca for business.
Mhm.
It's got great culture and great food.
Okay.
The second spot is Quebec City, because man, you feel like you've stepped back in time.
Okay.
And then the last place, I love going up to the mountains, going into Mont Tremblant, Mont
Okay.
Saint Anne, going to any of these places for a little bit of snowboarding and skiing.
Okay.
And those are the spots that I would hit in Quebec.
We pretty much covered everything basically there is about Canada. We haven't talked about price range. What can they expect price range?
If you're buying a single family downtown Toronto of reasonable size, maybe 3-4 bedrooms, 2-car garage, you might be paying, anywhere between $2 to $3 million for your entry level home.
Okay.
If you're buying in the suburbs, say maybe an hour or 2 hours of the city, that same home
Mm-hmm.
will come in at about maybe $800,000.
Okay.
When you're looking at condos right in the heart of the city, you're going to be anywhere between $6 to $3 million for your condos, kind of give or take.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're buying those outside of the town, you might be anywhere between 3 to maybe 1 to 2 million.
Look, when you look at basically proximity to where you're at, you have to look to see where you are in your stage of life. If you're watching this from another area, you're thinking, all right, I'm selling what I have here, and I might actually buy something in Toronto, and then use that as, I don't know if you guys do, whatchamacallit,
1031 exchanges?
you 1031 exchanges or like short stay rentals.
SDRs.
Yeah. So if somebody wants to do that, is that an option out there?
You know, there's a lot of areas that are cracking down from
Okay.
a zoning standpoint on
Yes,
short-term
similar-
rentals,
yeah.
just like here. Do people still do them? Absolutely. I think I think there definitely is a place. I think
Okay.
the government, when you go to the numbers, was a little misguided as to how much impact that really truly created on the housing.
Mhm.
We all know, and this is in Canada, the number one reason why people aren't building, number one is right now, you gotta make money to build. So give
Yeah.
the profit to the contractors,
Mhm.
give the profit to the builders so that they can keep on building. Because if there's profit in it, they're gonna do it. The second thing is, get rid of the red tape. We have so much red tape when it comes to building, so many things that slow down the process. Let's build. Let's put those shovels in the ground. Let's build those homes. Let's create that inventory, because if we have that inventory, that's what we're gonna be
It
able to
relieves the
build.
pressure, basically, people want to buy. People
Yeah,
want to own
people
stuff.
wanna buy.
Yeah. That goes with
Exactly.
here in the United States and also in Canada.
That's right.
I
And
think,
if you are buying, to me, I think there's a lot of people who are maybe later in life and they're doing a switch.
Yeah.
That's one thing. But there's also people who are getting into the market. This is this the time to buy? Well, guess what? Your first house, it's not going to be your last house.
exactly.
You're going to get into that house, and that's going to get you in the market. Guess who's going to buy your second house?
Somebody starting up.
Your first house is going to buy your second house.
Yes.
And somebody else is going to buy your first
Actually,
house.
there was a saying, Joe told me this one a while back. Your first house is the down payment for your next house, which is basically what you just said.
Way better put.
I had a question in my head and just literally just ran out of my head. Oh, schooling. For
Mhm.
people going to school, whether they're, have younger kids or they have people going to college, you guys say university. If they're going to university, basically, what kind of schooling can we find? Basically, I think nursing is really big in Canada, technology.
Where I live in Kitchener-Waterloo, we have one of the hottest technology beds. It's
Mhm.
really the Silicon Valley of Canada.
Okay.
And so it's a super exciting spot. So if you're looking at starting a startup, Kitchener-Waterloo is a great spot to go to for that.
Mhm.
There's a lot of eyes on that space. We have all the great schools out there. We've got our law schools, we've got our business schools, and our traditional schools of medicine and that sort of thing. The main thing is, I think, schooling is going to be very interesting to see the transition we're going to see. It's one of the last bastions of lack of change.
Okay.
And there's an entropy happening in education, especially when you start putting in AI. There's a beautiful school in the States
Mhm.
where what they've done is they've taken the classroom, and really the schooling is about 2 hours.
Mhm.
They've taken the classroom, the AI does all the teaching, and then the teachers aren't teachers anymore. They're educational coaches.
Okay.
So what they do is they can look at the KPIs and all the indicators that on a student by student
Mhm.
basis, because all the data's there. And now they can coach them effectively, become really good facilitators of education.
That I kind of like marrying technology, some stuff from the past, with the present where we're at right now, and the future.
Yep.
Marrying all that together, basically, just to see the outcome of that.
Yeah.
Technology's here, whether we like it or not. It's here, so we might as well utilize it. We're not abusing it. We're utilizing it basically to make the next generation, our current generation,
Yeah.
the next generation. Don't want to leave the people behind. Basically, my age group, Gen X, anybody over 50. Well, you're kind of Gen
Right
X.
at that cusp,
All right.
yeah.
So my video usually is around Gen X and people
Yeah.
surrounding that.
Well, that's actually interesting
Yeah.
because one of the things we're seeing in Canada around when people are looking at choosing where they want to live,
Mhm.
it might be close to schools, it might be that things. A lot of times it used to be close to the highway, but now they're looking at close to the digital highway. In
Okay.
other words, what is our access to high-speed internet? What is our access to the services that allow me to be able to be online in a way that I'm not going to be interrupted? Is there data stability in this neighborhood?
That is
Or do they have a lot of
interesting.
things out? Because that's the new highway.
Yeah,
It's a digital
it
highway.
is. I didn't really give it much thought, but you are right, because we all travel, especially in the line of
Yeah.
work that we're in. We travel a lot, and one of the first things we all do, we break out the phone. We have the
Yeah.
Wi-Fi. Why isn't that? Especially if we go on conferences, we're always complaining about that. Like
They
it's a
have one
nightmare.
job. They have
Yeah,
one job.
We
Like,
talked about this
You
before.
have one thing to do, make that internet. I was at Collision, which is one of the largest tech conferences, and there's 20,000-30,000 people there, but the facility's designed
Mhm.
to house that many people. They couldn't get the internet working, so all these people had all these things to show, and nobody could show.
I mean, you work with whatever you have at that moment. You can
Yeah.
take pictures and videos. You just have to upload
The
them later on.
napkins and the pens came out,
Yes.
and they were showing.
Oh, hopefully people don't forget that, because basically, look, that's what brought us to the dance. the napkins and papers. You write down your notes. You try and remember everything. We use the technology to help us, and we shouldn't be using that as a crutch. Also,
You need a fallback.
Before I forget, talking about fallback, we have to talk about sports.
Yes.
All right, Toronto. I'm not gonna say the obvious names. You tell me what sports we can look at.
You know, obviously there's the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Never heard of them.
Toronto, yeah, they. You know, if you're at the Stanley Cup, you never heard of them either. And so
Too soon. Continue.
But you know, I mean, there's a lot of great teams.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have a new soccer team that's come out in Toronto. Which
You guys
is
go with soccer or football?
You know, it depends on who you talk to.
Okay.
You know, we're 50-50 on that one. You know, we've got a good basketball team. I think we've got all the majors. And I mean, I'd love to see an NFL football team come to Toronto. That'd be super exciting.
That would be interesting.
You know, I think it's about time Toronto gets on that map. And
the way the world's changing, we never know. It might be.
It might be the 51st state.
Too soon.
Too soon on that one.
Maybe I don't know. Well, at the time of this recording, we don't know. But seriously, there's like so much. America and Canada basically have so much in common. We're distant cousins at this point.
Absolutely.
I'm distant. We're cousins. Let's just leave it at that. We're cousins.
That's right.
All right. So Canada, Toronto seems like it has a lot to offer. How can people reach you basically if they're interested in making that move and they want to make Toronto their home?
You know, if
or
they
their
move,
business also.
Yeah, if they want to move their business to Toronto, if they want to move themselves to Toronto, or they just want to invest in Toronto just to get a little bit of a different profile, because there's investment just as many as people are coming to the U.S. to invest, people are coming across the border to Toronto to invest, because there's, no matter what, there's always a good deal somewhere.
Yeah, true.
And so that I think is super interesting. So for me, to reach me, it's just send me a text, 647-503-5003, and let's connect that way. Super simple.
We didn't mention this before, but he also does commercial businesses as well, so definitely utilizes pretty much his experience. Basically, you've been doing this for how many years?
So I've been consulting on change management since I guess it would have been the late '90s.
Okay.
And I've been actively involved in running businesses since that point too. And one of the things that I think that is a lot of people might see as a missed opportunity is, just like in real estate, you can buy and invest and flip a home. Well, you can do the same thing with businesses. There's a lot of change happening. There's a lot of people who are just hanging up their shingle rather than seeing that there's value in their business. So my suggestion is that if you are a person who's running a business, whether it's a real estate agent or whether you're running the laundromat, your business has value. Go out, get it appraised. We got a team who can do a business analysis on your business to see what your business is worth. And if it seems like it's the right time, then maybe it's the right time. If it looks like you need to put a little effort in, get your business ready to sell.
I love that. All right. So the segment's called Your Next Move. Give him a call when you're ready to make that move. If you're here in New York and you need to sell property, basically, I am Evantz Saint-Gerard. My number is 917-975-5985. You can find me on social media pretty much every social media, TikTok, and I don't dance, stop asking me to do that. Instagram, YouTube, you name it, I'm on it. I'm on Shang Shu, I'm pretty sure I mispronounced it. Red Hook or whatever it's called, whatever the new app is called. There's a few of them that I'm on right now. Also, I primarily work in Queens, Brooklyn, Long Island, some parts of Yonkers. If you're looking to sell in any of these areas, feel free to reach out to our team. Again, that number is 917-975-5985. The website is mynyhomesales.com, which you'll probably be seeing this video there or on our YouTube channel or somewhere on the social media platform. This has been Your Next Move. I'm Evans, and this is Steve.
Let's go. And you, by the way, help a lot of people do things that they're uncomfortable with.
Yeah.
So let's get you doing something you're uncomfortable with, and let's get up and dance.
Oh, Jesus Christ. You don't want to see this. All right, that's some.